Hello. I want to talk to you about getting back into the gym. We are only a couple of days away from the gyms reopening in the UK after 4 months of them being shut, and you may be absolutely eager to get in there and get going. But there's one thing I kind of want to point out that may be a potential pitfall. Now, from a body point of view, your body will remember the exercises quite well. We've got this amazing thing called muscle memory, so you'll probably find that it's quite easy from a physical point of view to get back into the training schedule that you were in before, because your body will just pick those things back up again. Where we have a problem, as always, is the good old mind. You see, now historically, your mind had what looked like a reasonably straightforward path to success. When it came to the gym, you get in there the first time, you suddenly realise just how little you can do, and then the PBs start coming thick and fast from that point. And you celebrate each one. And this is important, the fact that you celebrate each one. So let's say you get in there the first time and you can just bench press an empty bar, which is 20 kilos. And over time, you work your way up to like 30, 40, 45. Let's say you work your way up to 80 kilos. Now you'll have celebrated every gain along the way on that path. But now, if you've hit that 80 before and you go back into the gym now, and let's face it, after this amount of time off training, you may find that the number you get to is significantly decreased. So let's go with like a ridiculous number. Let's go with half. It's not going to be half, but let's just go for half, for example, and you get to 40 kilograms. Now, when you get to 45 kilograms next week, that would have been a fantastic jump for old you. But for new you, it's just 35 kilograms less than what you've already lifted before. And when we talk to ourselves like that, it can have a seriously negative impact on our desire to go back and do the work. Our motivation or the momentum, as I've talked about before. In fact, I'll link to that right now. So it's crucial that when we get back in there, that we do celebrate these things as if it was the first time all over again. Because what that does is it sends a signal to your brain that what you've just done is good. When we beat ourselves up, it sends a signal to the brain that what we've just done is bad. And as a general rule, we want to avoid the things that we think are bad and we want to do the things that we think are good. We do not guilt ourselves into greatness. Now, I'll talk you through a little principle on how this works and why your brain sort of goes this way. I've got these two friends, right? One of them will say to me, "Oh, you're always busy. You've never got any time for me. When can I see you?" And the other one will say, "Look, I know we're both busy at the minute, but I always love spending time with you. Do you think that we could see each other soon?" They're both in principle asking the same thing. They're both asking, "When can I see you?" Well, one of them's asking it in a way that makes the unconscious part of my mind dig in its heels and get defensive, whereas the other one's asking in a way that makes me get out my calendar and make an appointment. I actually enjoy spending time with both of them, but the way they ask does make an impact. And the same is so true about the way that we talk to ourselves. When we say, "Oh, well, it's 35 kilos less than what you've done before, big whoop," it makes an impact in the same way that first friend's saying things like, "Oh, you're always busy, when can I see you?" What your brain's trying to say is, "I want to get those 35 kilos back." But it's saying it in a way that makes you feel demoralized, that makes you feel demotivated. And as a result, takes the wind out of your sails, don't want to go back for the next session. On the flip side, if you speak more like that friend that I get the calendar out for, and you say something like, "You know what, I'm really made up with myself for getting those extra 5 kilos today. I can really see the fact that I'm going to get back to where I was before," then you'll start getting there a whole lot quicker. Now, I've personally put this principle in practice before, because this isn't just about going back to the gym after a global pandemic, because we've not done that before. If anyone's ever experienced an injury and gone back to training, you may have actually experienced this firsthand yourself. And I've worked with a lot of athletes in time that have come to me with that same thing, that they've just not got the same motivation on going back to the gym after an injury that they had the first time. They've thought it would be there, but it just wasn't. And as a result of talking them through it, when it came to that same thing happening to me, I knew what to do. Now, I was training for my first marathon last year, and just before Christmas in 2018, I got to 17.5 miles. That's the longest I've ever run. It was the first time in my life I'd done it. It was slow, it was painful, it was horrendous, but it was a PB. So I celebrated it, and I felt great, if a little bit blistery. And then I ended up actually with sciatica a few days later. I couldn't run, I couldn't really even train, I could barely even walk. And as a result of that, I had to stop training for a little while. I couldn't run for about 6 weeks. And when I finally got back into running, I got on a treadmill because I wasn't confident enough to go outside. And I got half a mile. And in that half a mile, it took me 12 minutes, which was what I would normally have run a mile in when I was doing a longer distance run. Now, I knew at that moment from working with these clients in the past that I had a very important choice ahead of me. And that choice was, I can either get off that treadmill and compare what I did then to my best. I could go, well, Dave, it's only half a mile and you did 17 and a half miles before Christmas. If you can only just do half a mile now, you've got 6 weeks till the event, you're never going to do it. Now, I know that if I'd have done that, I'd have basically gone home and cried, or cried and gone home, or gone home whilst crying. It'd have been some combination of going home and crying, and I'd have probably never ran again. When I got rejected for the London Marathon in the build up to being 30, I stopped running for about 4 years. I've moved on since then. So instead of doing that, instead of beating myself up and comparing myself against my best, I bigged myself up instead. I got off the treadmill and did this massive happy dance. I danced around, probably burnt more calories doing the dance than I did actually doing the half a mile run. And I sent that signal to my brain that the thing I've just done is good. And as a result, I got back on that treadmill the next day and I went for a mile. And then 2 days later, I got a mile out on the road. Slow again, but something. It was progress. Treated it like it was a new milestone. And I kept on building it up and building it up and building it up. And in early April 2019, I got out on the streets of Manchester and I ran 26.2 miles. Got myself a nice chunky medal in the process and went for a great big Italian meal afterwards to celebrate. And it was amazing. One of the biggest achievements of my entire life. Thanks to the fact that instead of beating myself up when I was in that critical moment, I bigged myself up instead. You do not guilt yourself to greatness. Think about this with a child. If a child was learning to walk and it got 10 steps on one day and the next day went to 5, we'd never go to that child and say, you're pathetic, you're a loser, I can't believe you did 10 yesterday and you're only doing 5 today. But we seem to think it's okay to say those things to ourselves. So here's the thing. When you get back into the gym, you may find that your first workout's amazing because you've pumped just to be back in there. But you may find that some things you've taken a step backwards on, and that's okay. Treat it like a brand new PB, a post-COVID PB, if you will, and then treat each single step that you take towards it as important and magnificent as you did the first time you made that climb. And soon enough, you will be back to where you were before, if not even further ahead. So, whatever you do when you get back in the gym, I hope you enjoy it. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone's pics. I'm looking forward to seeing stories on Instagram flooded with shots of people back at the gym. I'll probably be bored of it by the end of the day, but right now I'm looking forward to it. And as always, I hope this video has given you some value. And if it has, please hit that subscribe button. I'm going to link out to that video on motivation and momentum. And there's going to be a subscribe button. I have no idea which way I'm pointing right now because I'm in a completely different room. Hopefully the next video is going to be back in my new shiny office when it's all been done up, because you know what? Really not enjoying fanning around with the lighting in here, but hey ho, we made the best of what we can do at the time, and I will see you all soon.